dwelt in himself. In fact, the name God means self-existent one. So he doesn't need nothing to be God. The difference between you and God is that he doesn't need you to be God, but you need him to be human. So before creation ever was, God was. Before the spirit realm was created, he existed in himself. So God was both him and he was the house of God, because God lived as God and he lived in God, and he needed nothing to be God. But a point came when love compelled him, and on the strength of the push and the insistence of love, God decided to begin to extend the civilization that was in his inside. He began to extend it so that he could interact with what is in him outside of him. So the idea behind creation, the 24 elders told us, is that all things should please God. So what was happening between the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, he wanted to extend it beyond his boundaries, so that he could interact with other beings outside of him. That was why he began the project of creation, so that when he interacts with the angelic, that which happened in the community of the Godhead can happen outside of the community of the Godhead. That was why creation was designed. And we said for creation to be accurate, we must go back to understand what is it that governed the civilization of God. And we said there were three things that govern the civilization of God. The first is the will of the Father. The second is the wisdom of the Father. And the third is the purpose of the Father. Everything we do is dictated by our alignment with these three realities. If the will of the Father is not part of what you are doing, you didn't survive. If the wisdom of the Father does not govern what you do, you did not exist. And if you did not fulfill the purpose of the Father, you did not pass through time, because there is no way you can please him unless you articulate his will. You live by his wisdom and you fulfill his purpose. This is what life is about. And we said for us to be able to understand these realities, we must live on earth perpetually connected to heaven. Because if you are not connected to heaven, you can never tell what God is doing part time. The accuracy of Jesus's life is his ability to stay connected to heaven. So at all times, he knew what the Father was doing. Jesus could walk the earth and tell you what the Father was doing at a time. And he said, the words I speak, it is the Father that is in me that doeth the work. So what Jesus was doing was not a product of creativity. It was a product of alignment. It was a product of yieldedness to the government of Zion. So as Jesus walked the face of the earth, he was streaming God. The way you live stream the internet now, that was how Jesus was live streaming God. So he said, God who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophet, has in this last day spoken unto us by his Son, who been the brightness of his glory. The word glory is the word doxa. That means the essence of God. So Jesus mirrored the essence of God. When Jesus shows up, his life was like a theater through which you can watch God. When Jesus is talking, you are watching God. When Jesus is walking, you are watching God. It was a theater that revealed God, because he was living on earth from heaven. And he said he upheld all things by the word of his power. The only way you can be accurate on earth is when you stream heaven. So our emphasis last night was how to connect to heaven. And we said the first way to live on earth accurately is to be able to pick signals from the Spirit. To be able to pick signals. So when a believer is not picking signals from the Spirit, he's lost. It's just like you are flying in the air and suddenly your compass begins to malfunction. There's crisis. The plane will vanish. Or if you go out of the radar, you are lost. You can be flying and flying very high, but right there at that altitude, you are lost. You know, when a plane is lost, it's not because it crashed most of the time. It stepped out of radar. You no longer pick the frequencies of Zion. And when people fail to pick that frequency, it's impossible for them to please God, because they don't know what God is doing. They are assuming. But you can't do trade by barter with the Spirit. And we say when you begin to pick signals from heaven, the first thing that happens to you is that the burden of God comes upon you. So when you come to church, like Daddy was saying, you now look at the empty chairs. You were worshiping God, and suddenly a signal comes to your spirit, and then you see that the Father was grieved that men are not worshiping. The moment you pick that signal, that will become your body. Next Sunday you can't come to church alone, whether you like it or not. That signal you picked will become a burden on your life. You can be in church and suddenly the keyboard is not working, and somebody else is saying, what is wrong with the keyboard? What is wrong with the keyboard now? Why? Meanwhile, when you checked, you now discover the Father was excited with the worship. All of a sudden the Father is now grieved, because you picked that signal. Even if it's the last money you have saved, you will buy a keyboard next Sunday. Others will not understand why you are doing what you are doing. You are functioning by a signal, because when you capture a signal from the spirit, it becomes a burden. That burden is the fuel that powers your service to God. The reason many people get exhausted and rusty is because they stop picking signals. They stop picking signals. So when men come and talk to them, it can deplete their desire to push on with God. So men must pick signals. Men must articulate burdens. And when men articulate burdens, we said the third thing that happened is that the hunger for the presence of God is quickened in their spirit, because they want more. They want more. They want more. They want to have more of God. They want to hear more of God. They want to see more of God. Because when a spirit reveals himself to you, nothing will matter to you anymore. You know, the reason why lust easily finds expression in our soul is because we have not seen him that is eternal. The Bible said the reason Moses was able to abandon Egypt was because he saw him that was invincible. When a man sees God, when a man begins to pick vibrations from the realm of God, it becomes difficult for that man to focus on earth. In fact, discipline is not the ability to get things done. Discipline is the ability. If I define things from the realm of God, it will be strange. Discipline is the ability not to allow yourself be wooed into heaven so that you can be relevant on earth. Because sometimes when you go to God's presence, you can stand there for 3 days. Your work will suffer. So what discipline will do to you is your ability to know how to allocate time for God, and also to do the things God will have you do. Because when you get there, you can be lost. Did you remember when the cloud came upon Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration? Peter said, let's build 3 tents here. One for you, one for Elijah, one for Moses. Peter forgot he has a family. You won't go back. See, the reason you come to God's presence and you are tired, you have not seen him. When you see him, you have to tell yourself, I need to feed my children. Because if you stay there, you will never go. So when a man begins to pick signals from heaven, hunger is born. Hunger. So he comes and he wants more. He wants more. It's not about the things God gives now. It's about God himself. When these 3 things are happening to you, it means you are alive in the spirit. It means you have overcome the world. Because he said, whoever is born of God, he overcomes the world. He overcomes the world. The way to overcome the world is to be detached. You are connecting to another frequency. When you see a madman is actually a visible reflection of a man that is in league with the spirit. He is so drawn to the realm that he walks with that a madman can come and look at the sun and he'll be there for 2 hours. He is in another realm. So even the rays of the sun can't affect him, because he is more, the realm is gazing at his more read than the sun. So you can wake up during Harmattan, very cold, and then you see a madman jogging by 5 a.m. and having the best of times. Where he's hearing the music from, you don't know. He's playing in his spirit. He's in another realm. You are saying, this guy is naked. Is he not cold? Even if a snake bites that man, he will just throw it away. And he's doing what he's doing. He's saturated and dominated by another realm. A madman is a proof of a spiritual man. He is so spiritual that he's lost in that realm. He picks signals from that realm. He's energized by that realm, and he lives for that realm. If he sees the spirit powering him on a waste bin, he will sit there comfortably. That's why I told you yesterday, your house is not a building you live in. It's the atmosphere of God that you create around you. So that madman can sit on a bowler and he's having fun. On the trash, you will say, this place is smelling. He's not perceiving it. The realm is connected to us, overwhelmed him. That's what spirituality is. We know God so much that when God is happy, we can pick it. When God is sad, we can pick it. When God wants something done, we can pick it. And the moment we pick it, it becomes our motivation. We won't stop until we get it done. When you get there, then God can use you. Because nothing can distract you again. Nothing. God has colonized you. You have overcome the world. Because if you can't overcome the world, it means the devil can still bargain with you. And I tell you, the bargain of the devil is sweet. If you are the son of God, turn these stones to bread. Lust of the flesh. If you are the son of God, look at the glory of the world. I will give it to you. lust of the eyes. If you are the Son of God, jump. You will not cast thy feet against a stone. Angels will hold you up. Pride of life. If the devil brings a bargain, it is only a man who is dead to this realm that can overcome this world. And when he overcomes this world, the proof is not that he's disciplined and is motivating himself that he will not fall. He will not fall. Resolutions are not strong enough. The only way you can survive is when you are connected. You must be vitally connected to heaven. That's the emphasis God brought our way yesterday. And tonight, there's yet another emphasis that God wants to bring to us. I have 35 minutes. You know, some of us who are revivalists, we just allow God flow. When He's flowing, it's when we ascend that we begin to do business. So I can just be on. When I ascend, my message comes to me. That's how we flow. I love pastors. You know what I shared yesterday? God's servant came up, and when he was splitting it out, is that what I said? Is that what I said? You know, they are masters, they are builders. They build men. We set people on fire and allow them. But you can preach one message, a pastor and a teacher can preach 7 messages out of that one message. Because his goal is not to get everybody, it's to build. It's to build. I celebrate you, sir. The second emphasis God wants to bring to us tonight is growth. The Bible said in Galatians 4:1, it said the heir, so long as he's a child, it said differeth nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all. It said therefore the father places him under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the father. The time appointed of the father is when the child is able to handle kingdom. The love of the father is intact, but he can never commit kingdom to the child. Just the way you love your child so much, in fact, it's the pride of your existence. But as much as you love him, you can't give him a car at the age of 5. It's not because the car is too precious, but if you give him that car, it will kill him. So the reason you don't give him the car is because you love him. So on account of the love of the father, he withholds things from us until we grow up. And if we are talking kingdom business, if we are talking kingdom leadership, then growth becomes a very integral part of our consideration. There are 3 cadres of growth in the kingdom. You grow from a child to a son, and you grow from a son to a father. That's the individual strand of growth. The second strand of growth is a corporate strand. You grow from a citizen to a representative, an ecclesia. And then you grow from an ecclesia to a witness. That's a martyr. A martyr is one who has come to a point where he's not only representing what he believes in, but he's willing to die for it. That's why Paul said, I die daily. So the first strand of growth is from a child to a son, from a son to a father. The second strand of growth is from a citizen. When you are born, you don't become a member of the kingdom, you become a citizen of the kingdom. A member has privileges, a citizen have rights. So when I come praying for the sick, I'm not begging God to heal the sick. I am commanding the sickness to go, because as a citizen, I have the authority to address sickness. But if I were a member, I will come begging God to touch somebody. I will come begging God to heal somebody. When I come to make demand in heaven, I am not coming to beg. I'm coming to take, because I have a right. So in the kingdom, you are a citizen, not a member. And when you become a citizen and you grow from a citizen, you become a representative. A representative is what we call the ecclesia. The ecclesia is not a number-based reality. It's a responsibility-based reality. So in the Roman kingdom, when the Roman government wants to take a territory, they send an agent, 3 agents, 1 in the military, the other in the legislative arm of the government, and the other in the executive arm, the representative of the king. So you have a herald, you have a pilot, and then you have a centurion. These 3 is what makes the ecclesia. When they send the ecclesia to a territory, the job of the ecclesia is to colonize that territory until that territory becomes a replica of the Roman kingdom. So you become a citizen, you have rights, And then a point come, God entrusts responsibilities on you, and God sent you out. This kingdom that you have seen, go and model it in another place. You have grown from a citizen to an ecclesia, and a point comes, because you have been so saturated by that assignment, you are willing to die for it. So put vis-a-vis with your life. The assignment is more relevant than your life. So if you have to die to prove it, you die. And death in this context is not necessarily being slaughtered. Death in this context is self-denial. Self-denial. You are willing to give up all at all times, at all times. But if a man is not grown